Today's lesson is Munich, the heart of German culture. Hi, everybody. My name's Roger.
And my name is Kiki.
And today we're going to continue talking about Munich, which is an important city in Germany. There are other cities to visit in Germany, of course, but hey, the one that's more traditional, the one that's got the nice architecture and some great sights to see is Munich, and that is the heart of German culture. We told you about some of the things you can check out in Munich last time, didn't we, Kiki?
Yes, we did, and this included Mary's Square. It's a lot of walking for travelers to do, and they can see the new town hall where they have a mechanical clock called the Glockenspiel, and the Glockenspiel plays beautiful music by Brahms and Wagner. And if you take a short stroll from Mary's Square, it'll take you to another beautiful Gothic church called the St. Peter's Church, which is the oldest church in Munich.
Right, and of course we've also got this traditional market there, the Viktualienmarkt. That's where you can snack on all sorts of traditional Bavarian foods like sausages, pretzels, and cheese. And of course there's a big pedestrian shopping zone which covers several streets, so you can walk around and not be worried by being run over by a Volkswagen or a BMW or an Audi or a Mercedes-Benz. But of course there are lots of other things to check out in Munich, so let's find out what some of those places are. Let's listen to the first part of today's lesson, and we'll be right back to talk about it.
Munich is also famous for its palaces and parks. The best way to experience both is to head to the Munich residence. Once the royal residence of the King of Bavaria, this impressive palace boasts 130 rooms and 10 courtyards, and also houses the treasury and its dazzling collection of royal crowns and jewelry crafted in gold, silver, and precious stones. Right next to the palace is the elegant court garden, and just a stone's throw beyond that is the vast English garden, a lovely public park where you can ride horses, relax in a Japanese tea house, and even take selfies in front of a Chinese tower.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到形容词 dazzling， 它指的是耀眼的或是光彩夺目的。例如 The celebrity wore a dazzling gown to the Academy Awards. 那位名人穿了一件光彩夺目的礼服参加奥斯卡颁奖典礼。或者The dazzling Christmas lights left all of the children in awe. 光彩夺目的圣诞彩灯让所有的孩子们都目瞪口呆。接下来我们看到动词 craft， 意思是精美制作。举例来说 As a hobby, Albert crafts beautiful pieces from wood. Albert 用木头精心制作美丽的作品作为兴趣。又或者说 Richard crafts many household items by hand in his workshop.Richard 在他的工作室亲手制作许多家用品。另外，这个字也可以当作名词，表示手工艺品或是工艺。例如 There is a crafts fair at the exhibition center this Saturday. 这个星期六在展览中心有一个手工艺品展。再看一个例子 Sheila learned the craft of pottery making from her grandfather. Sheila 从她爷爷那里学到制作陶器的工艺。再来我们看到单字 elegant， 它是形容词，指的是高雅的或是优雅的。例如 Clarissa is known for her elegant sense of style. Clarissa 以品味优雅为人所知。或是 Jamie's outfit was simple and elegant. Jamie 的打扮简约且雅致。接下来我们看到形容词 vast， 它的意思是巨大的、广阔的或是广大的。例如 Vast parts of the forest were destroyed in the fire. 这片森林的大片区域在大火中被摧毁了。或是 A vast majority of customers left the restaurant a positive review. 绝大多数的顾客为这家餐厅留下正面的评价。
Okay, so we've got some other things to check out in Munich. And so we begin here in the first paragraph by saying Munich is also famous for its palaces and parks. A palace, of course, is a big building, usually for kings and queens and people like that. And, of course, Munich has lots of parks. And the best way to experience both is to head to the Munich residence. A residence, of course, is where someone lives. And if you see this term, the residence, it probably refers to an important person like the president or the prime minister or the king or the queen.
Right. And once the royal residence of the King of Bavaria, this impressive palace boasts 130 rooms and 10 courtyards, and also houses the treasury and its dazzling collection of royal crowns and jewelry crafted in gold, silver, and precious stones. So this royal residence, this place where the King of Bavaria used to live, it is a palace and it has 130 rooms. So you can have guests, if you have foreign guests coming, other presidents from other countries or royalty from other royal households, they'll come, they visit, they have rooms to stay in. And the impressive thing is it has 10 courtyards. So what's a courtyard? Usually a courtyard is an outdoor area, an outdoor piece of land. It could be made into a garden with chairs that you can sit in and spend the afternoon having afternoon tea and have a chat with other members of the royalty. And courtyards, they can also have water fountains and have beautiful fountains that just make a really beautiful sight for you to enjoy the day or the afternoon.
So yes, indeed, it does have those courtyards, and it also houses the treasury. Here, house is a verb. A house is something you live in, but to house means to provide a place for something to be inside of. You can house people, for example, with, say, a building estate or something like that. But here, this particular place houses the treasury, and also it houses the dazzling collection of royal crowns and jewelry crafted in gold, silver, and precious stones. So this collection of royal crowns and jewelry is dazzling. If something's dazzling, it's bright, it's shiny, and you go, wow, that's so cool, especially if it's something very expensive that has lots of jewels or shiny lights.
Right, and dazzling is usually also very impressive to other people. So, you could say that, wow, she just has a dazzling smile. And in this case, jewelry crafted in gold, silver, and precious stones. So crafted is when you create something by hand or if you make something out of a certain type of material. So you make the jewelry from gold, out of silver, out of these precious stones. Usually these crowns, you have to craft them with very carefully because these precious stones and precious metals, they're really expensive.
Right, so you craft these crowns and these pieces of jewelry in gold and silver, and also you give them precious stones, and those could include diamonds or sapphires, emeralds, rubies, etc., etc. And right next to the palace is the elegant court garden, and just a stone's throw beyond that is the vast English garden, a lovely place, a lovely public park where you can ride horses, relax in a Japanese tea house, and even take selfies in front of a Chinese tower. So, okay, we go back to the beginning of this very long sentence and look at the word elegant. There's an elegant court garden. If something's elegant, it is high class, it's really, really well made, it's graceful, it's stylish in appearance. And, of course, you might describe someone wearing a nice dress to a very expensive party as being elegant. Oh, that's an elegant evening gown you're wearing. You look like royalty.
And you can also use elegant to describe somebody's composure. Oh, she has a very elegant walk. She talks very elegantly. And just a stone's throw beyond that is the vast English garden. So not too far from the court garden. A stone's throw means you just throw a stone over. Usually we don't throw stones very far, right? So it's kind of close. A stone's throw beyond that, right next to the court garden, is the vast English garden. So vast in this case, it's an adjective, and it's used to describe something that is very big, a big area of space. So a vast garden would be a very big garden.
And we're describing it as a lovely public park where you can do all sorts of things. You can ride horses there. You can relax in a Japanese tea house and have some green tea or something like that. And you can take selfies in front of a Chinese tower. Those things are all included in the English garden. Of course, a selfie is a picture of yourself or a picture of you and your friends together. If you use a selfie stick or if you just simply hold the camera out at arm's length, you could probably take yourself a nice selfie in front of these various sites there. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson. Let's move on now to the second part.
Finally, you can't discuss Munich without mentioning beer. Bavaria is famed for producing some of the best beers in the world, and every year the locals celebrate that fact with the world-famous Oktoberfest, a huge festival dedicated to the region's heady brews that attracts 6 million visitors each year. But even if you aren't visiting in October, you can certainly enjoy a Bavarian beer or two in one of Munich's many beer gardens.
第二部分我们看到形容词 famed， 它的意思是闻名的或是著名的。例如 Linda felt she had to visit the famed sushi restaurant in Tokyo. Linda 觉得自己一定要造访东京那家有名的寿司餐厅。也可以说 The famed actor retired from the stage. 那位知名演员从舞台界退休了。接下来看到单字 dedicate， 这个字是动词，它有把时间、精力等专门用于献给或是致力于的意思。例如 Kate dedicated most of her free time to working with animals at the shelter. Kate 把她大部分的空闲时间奉献在收容所里的动物上。又或者是 Sandra's business is dedicated to providing the highest standards of customer service. Sandra 的公司致力于提供最高标准的顾客服务。
Okay, so remember last time we talked about Oktoberfest, and that, of course, involves a lot of beer. So finally, you can't discuss Munich without mentioning beer. A lot of times when we think of Germany, we think of, sauerkraut and German sausages, but we also think of beer. And, of course, you can't discuss Munich without discussing or mentioning beer. Of course, beer is very famous in Munich.
And when you think about German beer, you really think about Bavaria. You think about Munich. So Bavaria is famed for producing some of the best beers in the world. And every year, the locals celebrate that fact with the world-famous Oktoberfest, a huge festival dedicated to the region's heady brews that attracts 6 million visitors each year. So Bavaria is famed for it. They're really famous for making some of the best beers in the world. And every year, the locals, they're really proud of this fact that they make such good beer, so they have a celebration. And this celebration is called Oktoberfest, and it's so famous, it's world famous.
Exactly. So yes, if you enjoy beer, you can go there and drink beer and have some local snacks. But of course, if you don't drink beer, you can still go anyway. I'm sure they serve soft drinks for people who would rather not drink an alcoholic beverage. And we're describing this beer as heady brews. A brew is a kind of a slang term for beer because in order to make beer, you brew the beer. And so brew can be a noun to refer to beer. We've got other slang terms for beer as well, which we probably won't get into here, but we're describing these brews or these beers as being heady, which means they're potent. They have kind of a high alcohol content. So if you drink some of these, you're probably going to get drunk rather quickly. And again, this festival is dedicated to the local beers there. If something's dedicated to something, it serves to recognize the importance of that other thing. So Oktoberfest is just celebrating those heady brews or that great beer that Munich is famous for.
Right. So a lot of people that really enjoy drinking beer, if they really want strong beer, you'll notice that they enjoy drinking German beer a lot. And most of the time, they do come out of Munich. And even if you aren't visiting in October, you can certainly enjoy a Bavarian beer or two in one of Munich's many beer gardens. And what's a beer garden? It's kind of like a restaurant or like a pub, a bar, but they just call it beer garden because usually they have outdoor seating areas and you can just have a nice day and nice afternoon drinking beer with your friends or family. And of course, if you don't drink alcohol, they also serve different types of beverages, and the most important thing is they sell food.
Indeed, and of course, if you go to Munich, you can enjoy beer and Bavarian food any time of the year. You don't have to go only during October, and you probably don't want to go to Oktoberfest if you don't like crowds, because I understand it's quite crowded at that time. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson for today. Let's wrap things up now by listening to the third part.
With so much to offer, this fabulous city is well worth a visit. From food and drink to traditional architecture and parks, Munich truly represents the heart of German culture.
最后第三部分，我们看到形容词 fabulous， 它的意思是极好的或是非常棒的。例如 Craig did a fabulous job organizing the party. Craig 筹办派对做得非常棒。又或者说Manny's performance in the play was a fabulous display of his talent. Manny 在那出戏中的表现，绝佳地展现出他的天分。
Okay, so we wrap things up in today's lesson. We say, with so much to offer, this fabulous city is well worth a visit. So yes, indeed, because it has so much to offer, because there are so many things to check out, there are so many things to do, therefore, this fabulous city is worth a visit. It's not going to be a waste of your time to go to Munich. You won't regret it. We're describing this as a fabulous city. Now, if something's fabulous, it's really wonderful, it's really outstanding. Isn't that right, Kiki?
Right. And you could also describe somebody as being very fabulous as well. You could describe somebody that's really fashionable and say his fashion sense is just fabulous, or the way he sings is just fabulous. So you're really describing somebody as being really amazing or being really good at something.
Exactly. So it's well worth a visit. You won't waste your time going there. Ask your travel agent to make some arrangements for you, or travel there yourself. Pack up your backpack and head there, especially during the summer. Of course, the weather's nice then. But I suppose you could go to Munich in the winter. There might be some ski resorts nearby there. You could try skiing and still check out the sites there in Munich as well. And we've got a range of things to check out. We've got food and drink. So from food and drink to traditional architecture and parks, Munich truly represents the heart of German culture. So again, we've got a range of things here, from something to something, and we're talking about various kinds of food in Germany there, at least in Munich. And we did mention some snacks there, like Bavarian sausage and pretzels and other delicacies from Munich. Are there any other kinds of German food that we can talk about, Kiki?
Well, I guess sauerkraut is something that a lot of people, even in Taiwan, they really enjoy eating.
Indeed. It's quite sour, it's quite tasty, and it actually tastes good on sausages. And of course, I think Germany and Munich are both known for their pastries. I think you can get some great German bread there, although don't think you can get some German chocolate cake there. I think that's an American invention. They have different kinds of cake there. They'll probably laugh at you if you ask for a piece of German chocolate cake. Again, that's something that was made in the U.S. And yes, indeed, we've got a range of stuff here. You got food and drink, which includes the beer. And also we talked about the Gothic architecture, right? Especially Glockenspiel there, the new town hall, and other places as well.
And St. Peter's Church, which is also of Gothic architecture. And usually when you go to other cities in Germany, they're more modern. You know, you see more modern buildings, skyscrapers. But when you go to Munich, and why it's been described as the heart of German culture, you go there and you really get a sense of being brought back in time. You get to feel what it was like, to be in the old days of German culture and really immerse yourself, really put yourself in experiencing the full German culture. Because like we mentioned, being able to taste local foods at the Viktualienmarkt, where local farmers, they'll produce some of the local delicacies and bring it to the market and sell it. And so tourists, they will be able to try what is really authentic to the German culture.
Right. And if you go to Munich, I think you can communicate pretty well in English because a lot of tourists go there and the people there are used to speaking English with lots of different people. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Let's listen now to Hanny, who will now speak to you in Chinese.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始提到慕尼黑也以其宫殿和公园而出名，他就写说 The best way to experience both is to head to the Munich residence. 要体验两者最好的方式是前往慕尼黑王宫。好，文中他用的 head 在这边是当动词，表示前往，朝着什么前进的意思。那么后面可以用 to 或是 for 接名词来表达前往某地。好，那么 head 其实它后面通常会接介系词或者是副词，像我们说 head north 就是往北走，朝北方前进， head home 就是回家， head back 是回去。那如果是用 head back to 加上名词，就可以表达回到某地的意思。那我们这边来造两个例句。 They left the restaurant and headed for the movie theater. 他们离开餐厅并前往电影院。或者是说 He headed back to the office after lunch. 他吃完午餐后就回办公室了。那我们再来补充一下，用 be headed 或者是 be heading 都可以表达正在前往的语义。所以如果我们问说 Where are you headed 或者是 Where are you heading 意思就跟 Where are you going 是一样的，表示说你现在要去哪里呢？好，再来，如果我们是用 be headed for 或者是 be heading for 加上名词，它除了可以指向什么前进，也有那种比喻的用法，可以表达出迈向什么或者是招致什么什么。像 be headed for stardom 就是表达说向明星身份地位前往，也就是迈向明星之路的意思。举例来说 If you keep spending more than you earn, you'll be headed for trouble. 如果你持续入不敷出，你将会惹上麻烦哦。那我们这边就用到 be headed for trouble， 字面意思是朝向麻烦前进，那就表示招致麻烦，惹上麻烦了。好，那我们在课文句子里面呢，它还用到这个名词 residence 来表达居所、住宅、住处、居住地的意思。那如果把字尾 ence 改成 ent 变成 resident 就是居民、住户或是居住者。好，那其实它们就是来自动词 reside R-E-S-I-D-E。 那我们来拆解它的字首字根。好， re 这个字首呢表示以前或者是再度。那么字根 S-I-D-E 它有 sit 就是坐的意思。那从以前呢就一直坐在那边，待在那边，存在于某处。我们用这个方式也许可以联想到 reside 它有居住啊、定居或是存在于什么什么的意思。那我们最后也补充一个它带有这种 S-I-D 这种字根的单字，就是 dissident D-I-S-S-I-D-E-N-T。 好，那它的字首 D-I-S 表示分开，然后 S-I-D 表示坐， E-N-T 是形容词字尾。好，分开坐什么意思呢？我们可以试着联想，政治理念不同的人呢，通常不会坐在一起商讨事情。那么 dissident 当形容词就可以去形容是持不同政见的，那么当名词就可以指说是持不同政见的人，异议分子。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Residence. The king has a summer residence in Scotland. Craft. The beautiful oak desk was crafted by a skilled carpenter. Elegant. The young man wore an elegant suit to the fancy dinner party. Vast. People can use the internet to access vast amounts of information. Famed. This part of town is famed for its many excellent Japanese restaurants. Dedicate. The singer dedicated the new song to her parents. Fabulous. Helen had a fabulous time spending the weekend with her friends.
Discussion starter starts now!
Here is our discussion starter for today. The question is, which attraction in Munich would you most like to visit and why?
Well, Roger, I think I'm really interested in going to check out the Glockenspiel because, like I mentioned earlier, to be able to see such Gothic architecture, but at the same time to have a waltz playing and then these wooden figures dancing around, I feel like that's going to be a really interesting and beautiful sight.
Well, I would definitely want to check that out, but the attraction I'd most like to see is that stained glass church, the church that has the stained glass in there. I really like those different kinds of colors, even though I'm not a particularly religious person, but still those scenes depicted in the stained glass would be really cool to look at, and I could probably spend several minutes checking it out. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Kiki.
See you next time.